Built on Ashes. My name is David Chen, and I'm about to tell you how I built an empire twice. Once for the woman I loved, and once on the ashes of her betrayal. They say no good deed goes unpunished, and they're right. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes the punished become the punisher. This is the story of how I saved a dying business, married into a family that never wanted me, and watched them destroy everything I built for them. And then, with patience colder than winter steel, I destroyed them back, taking everything they stole from me and building something greater from the ruins. Vengeance, I learned, isn't about anger, it's about architecture. I met Sarah Whitmore on a Tuesday in September in a coffee shop 3 blocks from my consulting office in downtown Chicago. She was crying into a cappuccino, her laptop open to spreadsheets that, even from across the room, I could tell told a story of financial disaster. I should have kept walking, should have minded my own business, but I've always had a weakness for people in trouble, and Sarah Whitmore, with her red-rimmed eyes and trembling hands, looked like trouble wrapped in an elegant navy blazer. "Excuse me," I said, approaching her table. "I don't mean to intrude, but I'm a business consultant, and I couldn't help noticing those numbers. If you need help..." She looked up at me, and I saw something in her green eyes that hooked into my chest. Desperation mixed with pride, fear mixed with determination. "Unless you can make $2.3 million in debt disappear, I don't think anyone can help me." I sat down. "Tell me about it." That was my first mistake. Sarah's family owned Whitmore Manufacturing, a mid-size industrial parts company that her grandfather had founded in 1962. For 60 years, it had been profitable, employing 340 people and serving clients across the Midwest. But her father, Richard Whitmore, had made a series of catastrophic decisions, expanding too fast, taking on massive debt, investing in technology that never materialized. When he died of a heart attack 6 months earlier, he'd left the company to his 6 children, with Sarah, as the eldest, holding the controlling 30% share. The other siblings, Michael, Jennifer, Thomas, Patricia, and the youngest, Andrew, had no interest in running the business. They just wanted their inheritance. But there was nothing to inherit, except debt and dying machinery. "The bank is calling in our loans in 90 days, Sarah said, her voice cracking. "We'll have to file for bankruptcy. 340 families will lose their jobs. Everything my grandfather built will be gone." I looked at her spreadsheets, looked at the company's fundamentals, and saw something everyone else had missed. The business wasn't broken, it was just mismanaged. The client relationships were solid, the workforce was skilled, the debt was manageable if restructured properly. "I can save this," I said. Sarah laughed bitterly. "With what? Magic?" "With strategy. I've turned around 12 companies in the last 5 years. Give me 3 months and full operational control, and I'll make this profitable again." "I can't pay you." "Then give me 10% equity and a seat on the board. If I fail, you lose nothing. If I succeed, we both win." She studied me for a long moment, those green eyes searching my face for the con, the angle, the hidden price. She wouldn't find one. I was 34 years old, successful but not satisfied, and I genuinely wanted to help. That was my second mistake. "Okay," she said finally, "but my family won't like this." She was right. They hated me from day one. I met the Whitmore siblings 3 days later in the company's boardroom, a wood-paneled relic that smelled of old cigars and older money. Michael, the second oldest at 36, was a lawyer who looked at me like I was a con artist. Jennifer, 34, worked in marketing and spent the entire meeting on her phone. Thomas, 32, was a real estate developer who kept asking when they could sell the company's property. Patricia, 29, taught elementary school and seemed overwhelmed by it all. Andrew, the baby, at 26, was finishing his MBA and thought he knew everything. So let me get this straight, Michael said, his voice dripping with condescension. You want us to give away 10% of our family company to a complete stranger who promises he can save us. I'm not promising, I'm guaranteeing it. But I need complete operational control, no interference, no questioning my decisions, 90 days. That's insane, Thomas said. We should just sell the property and split whatever we can get. The property is mortgaged, I said flatly. You'd get nothing. Then bankruptcy. Then 340 people lose their jobs, your family name gets destroyed, and you all still get nothing. Or you can trust me. Sarah looked at her siblings. I'm voting yes. That's 30%. I need 21% more. Patricia raised her hand hesitantly. I'll support it. 15%. The room erupted in argument, but eventually, Andrew, who actually understood the financials, voted yes with his 12%. That gave us 57%. Enough. Michael stormed out, but not before saying, when this fails, Sarah, it's on you. It didn't fail. In 90 days, I renegotiated every supplier contract, restructured the debt with the banks, cut 15% of operating costs without laying off a single worker, and landed 3 new major clients I'd cultivated from my consulting network. By day 91, Whitmore Manufacturing was cash flow positive for the first time in 3 years. By month 6, we were profitable. By the end of the first year, we'd paid down $800,000 in debt and expanded into 2 new product lines I'd developed. The stock I'd been given, 10% of a dying company, was now worth $3.2 million on paper. But more than that, I'd fallen in love with Sarah. It happened gradually, then all at once. Working late nights in the office, celebrating small victories, navigating crises together. She was brilliant when given the chance, creative and driven. We'd started as business partners and became friends, and then one night, working past midnight on a major pitch, she'd kissed me. Thank you, she whispered, for everything, for believing in me, in us. 6 months later, I proposed. She said yes. We were married on a Saturday in June at their family's estate in Lake Forest, a sprawling property that had been in the Whitmore family for 3 generations. It should have been the happiest day of my life. But I noticed things. The way Michael barely spoke to me, the way Jennifer made snide comments about gold diggers, the way Thomas kept asking me about my exit strategy. Only Patricia and Andrew seemed genuinely happy for us. They'll come around, Sarah said, squeezing my hand as we danced. You saved the family business. They'll learn to appreciate you. That was her first mistake, believing her family was capable of gratitude. Over the next 3 years, I didn't just save Whitmore Manufacturing, I transformed it. I expanded us into 3 new states, acquired 2 struggling competitors for pennies and turned them profitable, developed a proprietary automation system that cut production costs by 30% and grew our workforce to 1,100 employees. The company's valuation went from negative $2.3 million to a positive $87 million. I did this while Sarah focused on brand development and client relations, roles she excelled at. We were a perfect team. At least, I thought we were. Sarah and I bought a house in Lincoln Park, a beautiful gray stone worth $2.4 million. We talked about starting a family. She told me she loved me every night. I believed her. That was my 3rd mistake. The first sign came 3 years and 2 months after our wedding. Sarah started having private meetings with Michael. When I asked about them, she said they were family matters and got defensive. Then I noticed discrepancies in some of our financial reports. Small things, easily explained, but troubling. Money being moved between accounts, consulting fees paid to companies I'd never heard of. When I brought it up in a board meeting, Michael cut me off. "David, we appreciate your operational expertise, but strategic financial planning is a family matter." "I'm family," I said, looking at Sarah. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Michael's right. Some things should stay with blood relatives." That's when I knew something was wrong. I started paying closer attention, started documenting things, and I discovered the truth. The Whitmore siblings, all except Patricia, who had been excluded, had been systematically restructuring the company behind my back.
They'd created a new holding company, Whitmore Holdings LLC, and were transferring assets into it. Assets I'd built, businesses I'd acquired, intellectual property I'd developed. My 10% equity? It was in the old company, Whitmore Manufacturing, which was being hollowed out while everything valuable moved to the new entity I had no stake in. I confronted Sarah in our kitchen on a Thursday evening. "Tell me what's happening." She had the decency to look guilty. "David, you have to understand, it's family. I'm your husband." "You're not a Whitmore," she shouted. And there it was, the truth she'd been hiding. "You were never supposed to be permanent. You were supposed to fix things and move on. But you stayed and you took control, and now Michael says you own too much of what should belong to us." I felt like I'd been punched. "I saved you. I saved all of you. And we're grateful. That's why we're offering you a buyout. $5 million for your 10% stake. That's generous, considering what? That my stake is actually worth $8.7 million? Or that I'm the reason there's any value at all? David, be reasonable. I'm your wife." She flinched at the echo of my own words. "This is business. Don't make it personal. We're married. How is it not personal?" Sarah's face hardened into something I'd never seen before, something cold and Whitmore. "Michael's already drawn up the papers. You can take the $5 million and leave quietly, or we'll make this difficult." "Difficult how?" "You signed an employment agreement, remember? If we terminate you for cause, and Michael can build a case, you forfeit your equity. You'll get nothing." I stared at my wife, the woman I'd saved, the woman I'd loved, the woman I'd built an empire for, and realized I'd never really known her at all. "Fine," I said quietly. "I'll look at the papers." That night, I slept in the guest room. The next morning, Sarah was gone before I woke up. There was an envelope on the kitchen counter. Divorce papers. She was divorcing me and forcing me out of the company simultaneously. Michael had been thorough. The papers included a non-compete clause that would prevent me from working in our industry for 5 years within a 500-mile radius. They were taking everything. The company I'd built, my marriage, even my ability to earn a living in my own field. I sat at that kitchen counter for 3 hours staring at those papers. And then I smiled, because Sarah and Michael had made a critical mistake. They assumed I was just an employee, a hired gun who'd gotten lucky. They didn't understand what I really was. I was an architect, and architects always keep copies of the blueprints. I didn't sign the papers. Instead, I called my own attorney, not the family lawyer Michael had recommended when Sarah and I married, but a shark named Catherine Morrison, who specialized in corporate warfare. "Tell me everything," she said. I did. Over the next 2 weeks, while Sarah and her siblings thought I was preparing to leave quietly, Catherine and I built our case, and we discovered something beautiful. In their rush to push me out, the Whitmores had made several legal mistakes. The new holding company they'd created, the asset transfers weren't properly documented. The board votes that authorized the moves, I'd been illegally excluded from several of them, despite my board seat. The employment agreement they were using to threaten me, it had been modified after I'd signed it, modifications I'd never approved. But more than that, I'd been meticulous during my years running the company. Every innovation, every system, every process improvement, I'd documented my role. I had emails, memos, witness statements from employees. I could prove that 70% of the company's current value came directly from my work. Catherine smiled when she reviewed everything. "David, they didn't just make mistakes, they committed fraud. We can void the holding company, reclaim your equity, and sue for damages. You could end up owning 40% of Whitmore Manufacturing." "No," I said. She looked surprised. "No? I don't want to own 40% of their company." I leaned forward. "I want to destroy them, and then I want to build something better." Catherine's smile grew wider. "Now we're talking. Tell me your plan." Here's what they didn't know. During my 3 years running Whitmore Manufacturing, I'd built relationships with every major client, every key supplier, every talented employee. I'd done it because I was good at my job, because I cared about people, because I wanted the company to succeed. But those relationships were with me, not with the Whitmore name. I started making calls. First, to our 3 largest clients, accounts worth $23 million annually. I didn't badmouth the Whitmores. I didn't have to. I simply told them I was leaving the company and starting my own venture. Would they be interested in hearing about it? All 3 said yes. Second, to our top 15 employees, the engineers, the production managers, the salespeople who actually made everything work. I offered them 20% higher salaries and equity in my new company. 12 said yes immediately. The other 3 asked for time to think about it. Third, to our suppliers. I'd renegotiated all their contracts, saved many of them during the pandemic, and treated them as partners instead of vendors. I told them I was starting a competing company, and I'd honor the same terms I'd given them at Whitmore. They all agreed. Then I did something Michael would never see coming. I called Patricia. "They're cutting you out too, aren't they?" I said. Silence on the line. Then, "How did you know?" "Because you actually have a conscience. That makes you dangerous to them." "David, I didn't know what they were planning with you until it was too late. I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry. Help me instead. I'm going to start a new company. I'm going to compete with Whitmore Manufacturing directly, and I'm going to destroy them. But I need someone on the inside, someone who can tell me what they're planning. Can you do that?" Another long silence. "They're my family." "They're your family in name. But family doesn't betray each other. I'm offering you 5% equity in my new company and a seat on the board. Real equity this time, no tricks." "Why would you trust me?" "Because you're the only one who visited me after your father's funeral to say thank you for trying to save the company. Because you're the only one who gave us a wedding gift from the heart instead of writing a check. Because you're not like them, Patricia." I heard her crying softly. "Okay. Yes, I'll help you." That was 8 weeks after Sarah filed for divorce. By week 12, I had incorporated Chen Industries with $8 million in startup capital, $5 million from my own savings and investments, $3 million from venture capital firms who knew my track record. My company would do exactly what Whitmore Manufacturing did, but better, faster, and cheaper.
By week 16, I'd poached 23 of Whitmore's best employees. Their production efficiency dropped by 35% overnight. By week 20, 4 of their major clients had switched to Chen Industries. The Whitmores lost $31 million in annual revenue, and I was just getting started. Patricia fed me information like clockwork. Michael was panicking, trying to plug the holes in his ship while I kept drilling new ones. He slashed prices to keep clients, which destroyed their profit margins. He hired expensive consultants who told him what I already knew. The company's value had been built on my relationships and systems, and without me, it was reverting to what it had been before I arrived, a dying business. Patricia fed me information like clockwork. Michael was panicking, trying to plug the holes in his ship while I kept drilling new ones. He slashed prices to keep clients, which destroyed their profit margins. He hired expensive consultants who told him what I already knew. The company's value had been built on my relationships and systems, and without me, it was reverting to what it had been before I arrived, a dying business. Sarah called me 6 months after the divorce was finalized. I was in my new office, a sleek space in the West Loop, nothing like the old Whitmore building. "David, please, can we talk?" "We're divorced. We have nothing to talk about." The company is failing. You're destroying us." "No, Sarah. I'm competing with you. There's a difference. I'm not doing anything illegal or unethical. I'm just better at this than you are, than any of you are." "Michael wants to negotiate. Maybe we can work something out." "Work something out?" I laughed, and it felt good. Like the $5 million buyout that was $3.7 million below fair value? Like the non-compete that would have ended my career? Like the divorce papers you left on the kitchen counter? I made a mistake. No, Sarah, you made a choice. You chose your family's greed over our marriage, over everything I built for you. And now you're facing the consequences. David, please, if the company fails, everyone loses their jobs. Actually, that's not true. I've made standing offers to every Whitmore employee. Anyone who wants to jump ship can come work for Chen Industries. Better pay, better benefits, actual leadership. 67 have already switched. The rest are just waiting to see which way the wind blows. I could hear her crying. Part of me, a small dying part, still cared, but the rest of me remembered her face when she said, "You're not a Whitmore." Remembered Michael's smirk, remembered signing those divorce papers alone in an empty house. There's nothing left to say, Sarah. You wanted me gone? I'm gone. Live with it. I hung up. 18 months after they pushed me out, Whitmore Manufacturing filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The company that had survived for 60 years, the company I'd saved and grown into a powerhouse, collapsed under the weight of incompetent management and mass defections. Michael tried to blame me publicly, called me a saboteur, a thief, but the business press told a different story. They called me a genius who'd been betrayed by his own family and had simply taken his talents elsewhere. Chen Industries was valued at $120 million by the end of year 2. By year 3, I'd acquired 6 other companies, expanded into Canada and Mexico, and employed 2,400 people. I was on the cover of Forbes under the headline, "The Architect: How David Chen Built an Empire from Betrayal." But the sweetest moment came on a Tuesday in March, exactly 4 years after Sarah had filed for divorce. Whitmore Manufacturing's assets were being auctioned to pay creditors. The company would cease to exist. The family legacy would die. I bought it all. Every machine, every patent, every piece of intellectual property, for $12 million, a fraction of what it was worth when I'd left. Then I shut it down permanently, dissolved the company, erased the Whitmore name from the business world. Some people said it was cruel, unnecessary, that I should have been the bigger person, but those people had never had everything stolen from them by the person they loved most. I hosted a small celebration that night at my penthouse, nothing extravagant, just Patricia Morrison, Patricia, who now ran Chen Industries' education division, and a few key employees who had been with me from the beginning. "To new beginnings," Patricia said, raising her glass. "To justice," Catherine corrected with a smile. I didn't say anything. I just looked out at the Chicago skyline, at the city where I'd met Sarah in a coffee shop, where I'd saved her family and lost myself, where I'd learned that vengeance isn't a dish you eat hot. It's a dish you plan meticulously, execute perfectly, and serve ice cold. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I hope you're happy now. You destroyed everything. Sarah." I deleted it without responding, because that's what she would never understand. I hadn't destroyed everything. I'd built something better, something that was actually mine, something nobody could take away. Chen Industries was worth $340 million now. I was 38 years old, wealthier than I'd ever imagined, and I'd done it all without compromising my integrity. I'd simply outworked, outfought, and outmaneuvered the people who thought they were smarter than me. The Whitmore siblings had scattered. Michael's law practice was struggling. Turned out being known as the guy who destroyed his family business wasn't great for attracting clients. Jennifer had moved to California. Thomas's real estate ventures had collapsed in the market downturn.
Andrew had finished his MBA but couldn't find work. Nobody wanted to hire someone associated with the Whitmore failure. And Sarah? I'd heard she was working in middle management at a marketing firm, making $80,000 a year. A decent living, but a far cry from being the heir to a manufacturing empire. Sometimes late at night, I wondered if I'd done the right thing, if maybe I should have been more forgiving, more generous. But then I remembered that kitchen counter, those divorce papers, the cold calculation in her eyes when she said, "You're not a Whitmore." And I slept just fine. Because vengeance, I'd learned, isn't about anger or hatred. It's about showing people that actions have consequences. It's about taking what they thought made them superior, their family name, their legacy, their inherited privilege, and proving it meant nothing compared to actual talent and hard work. They thought I needed them, thought I was nothing without the Whitmore name. I'd proven them wrong in the most devastating way possible. I'd built an empire on the ashes of theirs. And every day when I walked into my office and saw the Chen Industries logo, a phoenix rising, I smiled, because that's exactly what I was. What they tried to kill had risen stronger, fiercer, and unstoppable. The Whitmores were gone, but I was just getting started. Chen Industries was expanding into Europe next quarter, Asia the year after. By 40, I'd be running a global conglomerate worth over $1 billion. All of it built on one simple truth. The best revenge isn't getting mad, it's getting everything they thought they deserved, proving you never needed them in the first place, and making sure they watch you succeed from the ruins of what they destroyed. I raised my glass one last time, alone on my balcony, to the ghost of the man I'd been 4 years ago, the one who thought love and hard work were enough. "Thanks for the lesson," I whispered. "I'll take it from here." The city glittered below me, full of possibility, full of opportunity. And somewhere out there, Sarah Whitmore was learning what I already knew. Vengeance is indeed a dish best served cold. But success is the coldest dish of all.